Hello, this is Ashley Lucas with the ACMS team over at State Hearings, and this tutorial is an overall beginner's tutorial on how to use ACMS. If you've never been on ACMS before, this will kind of help give you an overall a vision of ACMS, what it does, what it can do, and this is a quick overall, and then within this presentation there are different videos that I refer you to. Okay, first of all, ACMS is a web-based application provided by State Hearings that all parties can see what's going on in real time with their case. When I say all parties, I'm talking about State Hearings, any agencies like counties, Covered California, DHCS, which is Department of Healthcare Services, mental health, health plans, and also the claimant and their authorized representatives. Claimants also have the ability to go online and interact with their cases through ACMS by having an online account. As business partners, the counties, DHCS, Covered California, and all those health plans can upload your SOPs into ACMS, and that makes them available to us here at State Hearings, and in some cases it makes it available to the claimant depending on what the claimant's mode preference for communication is. Also, any other involved agencies that access cases through ACMS will be able to see those documents like SOPs. So one of the things I like to make sure and stress when I talk about getting into ACMS is security and privacy awareness. Now, with ACMS, you do see a lot of claimant information. You see a lot of their personally identifiable information. So it's very important that you maintain the security of the system. Make sure you don't share your credentials with anyone. Make sure you're not using public Wi-Fi, etc., when you're accessing ACMS. When you agree to have a user account in ACMS as a business partner, you agree to maintain that privacy and security. And if that is being breached by any reason, then we can revoke the user's permissions into the system. So some of the PPI you are exposed to in ACMS are, of course, folks' names, in some cases social security numbers, definitely home or home phone, home address, physical address. In certain cases, you may be able to see financial, claimant's financial history or educational, and in like Medi-Cal or some other cases, you can also see their medical or employment history. So you are, there is potentially a lot of information in ACMS that is very sensitive. So I urge all of our business partners to be sure to be sensitive to that information. All right. As I mentioned before, medical records, that's the protected health information. Keep that secure and be mindful of those HIPAA regulations. I'm sure your agency, like the state, requires you to go through different HIPAA and personal security information security training, either biannually or annually. So just remember those precautions when you are using ACMS. I know a lot of our agencies do their business via telephone. We here at State Hearings do almost all of our business with claimants over the telephone or over email. So you want to make sure that you are talking to an authorized person when you are talking to somebody on the telephone. Make sure you're speaking to the claimant or their authorized representative. And you can use ACMS to verify that by asking them what their birth date is, their postal address, maybe their case number or PIN, maybe their email address. So feel free to use that information in ACMS to help identify the claimant when you're speaking to somebody on the phone. Make sure that you don't give away the answer in asking the question. For example, if I say, "Is your address 123 Elm Street?" The person might just say, "Yes, that's my address." So instead, ask them to verify the address. What street is it you live on, or what is your address, that sort of thing. So the recommended browsers for ACMS is of course Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge. If you're a Microsoft user, Microsoft Edge is available to you. A lot of times uh, I know Windows 10 defaults to Internet Explorer as the web browser. We have noticed some display issues with Internet Explorer, so we highly encourage folks to use Chrome or Microsoft Edge. As I had mentioned previously, please do not access ACMS on public or open Wi-Fi connections like you'll find over at Starbucks, or please do not use your personal devices with your business sign-on credentials. Your credential as a business partner gets you access to a whole lot more information in ACMS than, say, an e-filer or a claimant's sign-on gets them. So having that large gateway into ACMS, we do ask that you keep your ACMS transactions on your agency provided devices and on secure Wi-Fi. Also, please do not share your credentials. One of the things we do have in ACMS is what we call a super user. What is a super user? A super user is our point of contact to our business partners. Some of our agencies are very large agencies with thousands of users, and it's more beneficial for us to have several contact points for these large agencies rather than to have to contact every single person in an agency. So we use those super users to be those gatekeepers for relaying information. So if we need to let folks know that ACMS is going to be down for maintenance or anything like that, we do send a message out to the super users, and we ask them to relay that to all the users in their respective agencies. They also are the gatekeepers for users of their agency. So ACMS requires that if you are a business partner and you need access to ACMS, make sure that you contact one of your super users to get to verify that you are a person from that agency and that your business access is authorized with that agency. Our super users are also our ACMS experts within your organization, and they're your first line of defense if you have any questions regarding ACMS. Of course, you're always welcome to contact the ACMS support team here at State Hearings, and we are always happy to help you. If you don't know who your super user is, just send an email to acms@dss.ca.gov and we can look that up and let you know who that is. If you don't have a super user and you're the first person from your organization making contact with us, you're probably going to be the super user. Don't worry, you don't have any extra work with the exception of relaying those important messages to other users in your agency. All right, here are some ACMS support tools. We have a website that we keep updated fairly frequently that contains lots of updated information on news, our release notes for whenever we upgrade the system. I also have links to training videos, which are super helpful. And then, of course, there's that ACMS email address where you can get a hold of the support team and we can answer any questions. If you notice some sort of anomaly in the system and would like to report that, we ask that you send us some screenshots or maybe some case numbers and send those through that email address that you see there. If you need immediate support, there is a phone number that you can call. Wait till you start hearing that main message like press 1 to file a hearing, etc. before you press 6. Otherwise, you're going to get like Spanish or something strange like that. So do wait for the main menu before pressing 6. I do encourage you to use the email address first because there are 4 or 5 of us that are on that email box, and we're very fast at answering that, and we may not be at a phone line to answer the telephone. So really the email address is the fastest way to catch us. So when you go to ACMS at dss.ca.gov in your browser, you're going to come up on a page that looks like this. This is the same access point that everybody sees to get into ACMS. The e-filer, the county user, responsible agency user, and all of us here at SHD, we see this very first sign-on page. the level of access that you get into ACMS is determined by your username and password, your credentials. So our business partners do get that privileged access. They can see a lot more than a regular e-filer would. You can see our security policy right there on that front page. There is on the bottom right there, you can see a reset password link to reset your password if you need that. You can also see right above that reset password link is the create an account link. That is reserved exclusively for anybody needing to file an appeal, and it should not be used by our business partners that need that business credential access into ACMS. If you would like one of those accesses, you would need to fill out an access request form that you would find on that website that I had on the previous slide. All right, let me give you a tour of the home screen so I can show you what that looks like. Pull that up really quick here. So here I am signed in as an RA user into ACMS, and this is what their screen looks like. You can see at the very top there's going to be the My Account. That's where you're going to change your password if you need to do that. If you're lucky enough to have several different roles like I am, you'll be able to change your roles here. Sign out is sign out, help is help. That's pretty obvious. Then in the upper right hand corner, you're going to see your email address, your business email address. That is also your username for ACMS. We use business email exclusively for our business partners. And then in parentheses, you will see the role that you have. Right now, I'm signed in as an RA user. Let me go ahead and change my role to a county user. And I will let you see what that looks like. It's a little bit different. And I will say that I am in the training environment. So the information you do see on my screens here is all made up information. These are made up claimants, etc., made up appeals, so that I am not violating anyone's private information. All right, so the first thing you're going to see at the very top is this gray bar, and that is a navigation bar. And there are 4 choices that you have up here: home, tracking, inbox, search, and reporting. The reporting is several different reports that you can share, you can see, and you can use. You can take a look. Feel free to go in there and take a look at those different reports and see if any of them are helpful to your organization. Under search, you can do several search, document search. You can save any searches that you build so that you don't have to rebuild them. If somebody else builds a search for you, I do this a lot for our business partners, you can find that under shared searches. And then you can do appeal search. There's standard and advanced, and there's claimant searches as well. If you are interested in searching in our YouTube channel, you can see a video that kind of goes into all the different searches and how to use that to the best of the system's ability. Under tracking inbox, there's really only 2 things that we ever use, and that's this appeal and then return calendar submission. And again, check out the how to submit an appeal in ACMS video on how to do that, and also there is one for county users on how to submit a return calendar in ACMS. And then home, which is where we are now. Right underneath this navigation bar, you're going to notice a set of blue links as you go into some different cases. Those links are going to change up a little bit. For example, see, it goes from home to tracking inbox. That's the same as home, and then it shows you which appeal that you're in and which part of the appeal. So right now I'm in this appeal, and I'm in the hearing listings, and I'm looking at a particular hearing, and it's the 5/11/2019 hearing. You can use those links to maneuver back and forth within an appeal very easily. The next thing you're going to see is this dashboard searching. There's 3 different ways to search: claimant, beneficiary, and appeal search. And that is just a character search. So whatever you put down as the first name, it's going to look for that string of characters and see where it appears in all the different appeals that are in the system. So once you hit a search, it's going to look for ALEX in the first name. So you're going to get everything from Alexis, Alex, Alexander, Alexia. So anytime those 4 letters appear in the first name, it's going to give you return all the different hits for that. The more information you do put in your search, the more narrow your search results will be. Same thing with beneficiary search. The only thing that's different with a beneficiary search is instead of showing you the first name, so if I go for John here and I hit a search, I only get one hit, and it's this appeal, because inside this appeal you're going to see a beneficiary whose first name has those 4 characters in it. So let's go ahead and verify that. So to find the people in an appeal, I'm going to go to the Contact tab, and there's a beneficiary with a first name that has John in the first name. So that's a beneficiary search. A lot of times you know the beneficiary's name, but if they're like a minor, you probably wouldn't see them under a claimant search, because the claimant would probably be a mother or a father or a foster care person, and that may not be the same name as your beneficiary. So we have this beneficiary search to help you out there. And then an appeal search, of course, is if you're looking for an appeal number. So if you can put in a string of numbers, the more numbers you put in there, the better. Here in the test environment, we only have about 12,000 cases, so I only need about 4 or 5 different characters in there to do my search. But in the live ACMS environment, if you can put in the entire appeal number, that would be very helpful. If you put in a small amount of characters here, you're going to get thousands and thousands of hits. So you probably just want to put in as many characters of the appeal number as you can. So here it's looking for 1045, and it's looking for wherever it appears, whether it appears at the end, like this one, or if it appears at the beginning, like this one. Once you have a list of hits for your search, all you have to do is click on whichever line you want to take a deep dive into, and it'll take you right to that appeal. The next thing you're going to see in the home screen is you're going to see this shared reports box. This tracking inbox doesn't appear in the live environment. That is only in the training environment. Right now there's only one shared report under this box, and that's the release decisions report. You can click on that and take a look at that, and you can complete that and get a listing of decisions that have been released during a time frame that you have set. And then, of course, down at the bottom, you're going to find all the queues and the queue menus here. I do have a video that talks about these different queues in depth, and what's in them and who should use them, etc. So look at my YouTube channel for that, and make sure that, that you're familiar with that. And that concludes my tour of the home screen for ACMS. So next on our stop is looking at an actual appeal. So let me pull this back up. Let me pull up an appeal, and I will show you what you will find on the appeal page. So here we have an appeal. Let me get to the main appeal page. And this is what you're going to see. You're going to see this appeal kind of cover sheet right here. And then there's several different tabs that you can take a look at. The different tabs, the appeal is all the appeal information. Contact are the people involved in the case. That includes beneficiaries, hearing representatives, authorized representatives, anything like that. Documents are all the files of a case. So the hearing requests, the notices, the letters, any evidence that's been submitted will be in documents. The hearing tab is for the judges. This is where the judge goes to conduct the hearing. Issue tab talks about the specific issue of a case. The task, ACMS kind of guides the hearing process through this series of actions, and the task listing is where you can see those actions happening. So one of the very first things that happens actually is a review, which is not in this particular case because we're in the training environment, but assigning a hearing rep, and then of course this particular appeal is manually scheduled, and then the hearing rep has to submit an SOP, and then if there was a withdrawal request, that would be here, or a bifurcation request. Any of that kind of thing would happen here in the task tab. And the activity tab is kind of an audit place where we can go back and take a look and see the different fields that have been changed, when they were changed, and who changed them. It's really tedious looking at this particular tab because it's very, there's a lot of minutia here, and it's really hard to get a bigger picture of what's going on by looking at this, but you can kind of figure it out. But mostly the appeal page is what we're concerned about. You're going to see at the top the claimant's name. It's a clickable link. If you do click on that, it takes you right to that claimant's profile that has all their personal information. It looks a little bit like this. Looks like this particular appellant has a lot of appeals, but it has all their personal information. And again, I am in the training environment, so this is not a real person, not a real address, not a real phone number. So this is all the personal information regarding a claimant. So back to this main page, then you're going to see the appeal number right here, and then a PIN. The PIN is used for accessing ACMS via the telephone line, our IVR system. If you wanted to interact with your case using that phone line, you would need your state hearings number and your PIN to do that. Up at the top here, we call this the ribbon, and it is like a quick information regarding the case. Here's your claimant information. And that way you don't have to click into their profile to see all of this. Here's the hearing information, the agency that's involved, what issue they are appealing, and if there is a hearing set, it shows the date of that hearing. Case history will show you the due date of the case, and it's going to show you any postponements or expedites as well. As you slide down this page, you're going to see some other information. Again, the appeal PIN, the status, and the reason for the appeal, the claimant, of course. This was a verbal appeal that was filed verbally. They probably called state hearings. The filing date, the due date, any responsible agencies. So far, only Alameda County was responsible in this one. Their preferred language and whether they need an interpreter or sign language, and all of that is pulled from their profile. Same with this. This person prefers email communications, and then they wanted a phone hearing as opposed to an in-person or any other hearing. Their hearing representative information is right here. If they're being represented by an AR organization, that would be denoted right here. If we know any information about their aid paid pending or any continued enrollment regarding Covered California, we would put that information right in this section. And then the rest of this, although it's great information for our business partners to know, it's state hearings that assigns the calendar template and makes any due date adjustments if necessary. Complexity level is for our judges. And then if the claimant has any special accommodations that they need, that's listed right down here. It's also pulled from their profile. One thing you may have noticed off to the side here is this associated appeals box. If this appeal was associated with any other appeals, for example, if you have a family that has several beneficiary children, usually those cases like to be heard together, so they group them together, and this is one of those places where you see these grouped appeals. All right, and so that is a quick tour of our anatomy of the appeal page. Some counties do submit their appeals online by using ACMS. Some counties choose to send that information to state hearings through secure file transfer, and we online them for them. Claimants or appellants can submit their appeals online with ACMS, or they can call us or fax us. State hearings can create those profiles regarding claimants. And agencies that submit appeals can also create profiles if they need to. A claimant's ACMS account can be used over and over to submit any future appeals. And appeal and a case is the same thing. And anything that gets submitted into ACMS is reviewed by state hearing staff. We make sure that everything looks good so that the case can proceed through the hearing process quickly without having any changes or postponements. And then, of course, all case numbers start with that SHN, which means state hearings number, and a 9-digit number that follows. So whenever you're onlining cases into ACMS, there's two things you need to check. Just make sure that there's not already a profile for that claimant, and make sure there's not already an appeal for that issue. Otherwise, you're going to have a duplicate profile and a duplicate appeal, and nobody wants to do duplicate work. So just double check and make sure that's not already in the system before onlining a case. Also, if you are interested, there is a video on how to submit appeals using ACMS, and this is for our county users. Now, all of our business partners use the Assign a Hearing Rep to an appeal. If you are one of the involved agencies, or if you're a responsible agency, whether you're the level 1, 2, or 3 agency, you're going to need to assign a hearing rep to the appeal. And let's see, usually those hearing reps are assigned by that Cases Without a Hearing Rep queue. If you know a case that needs a hearing rep, you can just search for that case and add the hearing rep to the Contact tab. And ACMS will prompt counties to add that hearing rep. There's a task called Assign a Hearing Rep task that you will get if you have a new case in your agency. There are 3 different kinds of hearing reps. There's a primary, backup, or other hearing representative. If you want to know more about assigning a hearing rep, there is a video that deep dives into how to do that step by step. Here is the link to it, and that is also on our YouTube channel. If you need to update a claimant's information in ACMS, like an address or phone number, email address, you can do that. Of course, the claimant can go in there if they have an ACMS account and make these changes themselves. Or the claimant can contact us here at State Hearings. You, as a responsible agency user, you can make that change, or you can refer them to us here at State Hearings, and we can make that change for them. And agencies can only change profiles for claimants that are within their jurisdiction. And again, if you need more information about that claimant profile, we do a deep dive video, and that video is called The Claimant Profile. Check it out. Now, remember the Documents tab that you saw in the appeals? All those different documents are in ACMS, and it's a little bit more involved to upload documents into ACMS. Any documents, images, recording files can be uploaded into that document tab, and you can also view the files that are in there as long as they are not marked as confidential documents. If you are the hearing rep assigned to an appeal, ACMS will remind you that you need to submit an SOP. Once that appeal is scheduled, you'll get a Submit SOP task, and it'll appear in your SOP Needed queue. And if you are the hearing rep assigned to an appeal, you'll be notified by email when anyone uploads a file, any documents, to the appeal. ACMS automatically generates and mails many letters during the course of the appeal. And you'll find all those automatically generated letters inside that document tab. For more information regarding working with documents in ACMS, there is, you guessed it, a video. Now, ACMS uses this task system to kind of keep the hearing process moving forward throughout the appeals lifecycle. So these tasks can be found under the Task tab, and anytime an agency needs state hearings to do something, you will most likely open a task for that. And here's a listing of some of the different tasks that you can request. And of course, we do a deep dive into how to use tasks in ACMS. with a lovely video called Using Tasks in ACMS. And this video is recommended for county users, RA users, and health plan users. Now, I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the anatomy of an appeal that the claimant will need their state hearings number and their PIN to interact with their case via IVR, our phone system. So IVR is a phone system. It's a recording system with a tree, and you press certain buttons, and it gives you some options. You can file an appeal, get the status of your hearing, withdraw a hearing, get information, tech support, customer service, all of these different things when you use the IVR system. Here's the phone number, 800-743-8525. And again, for certain options like option 3 or 4, you need to have that case number and that PIN. And of course, we do have a video that kind of shows you step by step how to use that IVR system, and it gives you the recording of what it sounds like when you press certain menu buttons. So if you are interested in learning more about IVR, please view that video. Now, one of the most important cues that you'll find at the bottom of the home screen is that calendars and hearings queue. This queue shows you what hearings are coming up during a particular date or date range that you specify. You can filter for your very own hearings. That's you as a hearing representative or you as an agency. It allows you to manage your hearing day. It gives you a listing of all the different hearings that are coming in. You can use that checked-in feature or ready for hearing feature to help manage what hearings are ready to go and which ones are in hearing. There's also a way to print out that hearing calendar if you don't have access to ACMS wherever your hearings are being held. And you can also use that printed calendar for a return calendar. So, of course, there is a video, the calendars and hearings queue, managing your hearings. And we do a deep dive into how you use that queue to manage hearings. Same thing with return calendar. This is for counties only, counties that hold hearings at their location. They often submit a return calendar so that we can just make sure that our hearings are going as planned. They let us know what happened there on site. The judges also mark it in ACMS. And once the counties return that hearing calendar, we can kind of compare what the judge says, what they say, and just make sure everything matches up. And there is a 7 or 8 minute video on how to do return calendars for county users. Using those queues, all those different queues that you see at the bottom of the home screen, that is how we manage most of our work here at State Hearings, is using those different queues. Everybody has been assigned a queue or two, and we go in there and just make sure that our cases are moving through those queues on schedule and on time. So we check those queues quite often. And even though you see a whole lot of queues on your home screen for your user role, you may not be the person responsible for processing those queues. So it's up to each agency to figure out how they're going to look at those queues and who is responsible for looking at what's in those queues and processing them. Again, a video that deep dives into those different queues, how cases get into those queues, how to get cases out of those queues. Take a look at that video, the home screen queues. Now, there's several different ways to contact state hearings. Of course, ACMS technical support, that's at acms@dssca.gov. Customer service for any of your pre-hearing requests, there's their email address. If you wanted to get in touch with any specific teams like the ACA team or general jurisdiction or the scopes folks or RFA, there are different email addresses for them, and then rehearings. And that pretty much concludes the training for the overall beginning ACMS training. But we do do on-demand training for any teams. I would get together with whoever is requesting the training, find out how your agency uses ACMS, and get some training made up. We can deliver that training for you, or just give it to you and you can deliver it yourself. We will work with you very closely to get that training. We're very invested in you feeling very comfortable with ACMS, so we're here for you. And if you do have any questions from this video, please send them to acms@dss.ca.gov. That's this email address right here. And thank you for viewing this video. We hope that you will take a look at the other videos that we have to help you learn about ACMS. Again, this is Ashley Lucas, State Hearings, signing off. Thank you.